Tonight on the Best of Art Bell, Chancellor Broadcasting presents Classic Art Bell. We reach deep into the archives to 1993 for an all-time favorite show, 3 hours of Art's fascinating and captivating interview with Al Bielek, who details his personal experience with the Philadelphia experiment. The show is from deep, deep, deep in the archives, the Clint Montauk experiment. And now, hour number 1, featuring Art Bell and Al Bielek on the Philadelphia experiment.
Additional crew was assigned to the Eldridge.
All right, Al, hold it there. Relax, we'll be back right after the news. Stay there, everybody. We'll be back.
If you've missed any part of tonight's interviews with Al Bielek or Preston Nichols and you'd like to have a copy on tape, dial toll-free 1-800-917-4278 and ask for tape number 970217C. The cost is $33.50 for all 5 hours without the commercials. That toll-free number is 1-800-917-4278.
You've got tax questions. Who doesn't? The important thing is, where do you go for answers? Well, try calling the Internal Revenue Service. Teletax is your 24-hour toll-free helpline. You'll have access to recorded information on about 150 tax topics, from deductions to dependents to business expenses. Just call 1-800-829-4477. That's 1-800-829-4477 for Teletax. At the IRS, we want to help. In fact, that's why we're here.
In the next 60 seconds, I'm going to do something terrible to anyone who's ever wanted to play the piano. I'm going to take away your excuses. I'm George Mladen, and right now you can learn to play the piano using the See and Hear Piano series. The same simple learn-at-home method that's already taught thousands of people to play, with a full 60-day money-back guarantee. How can we make such an offer? Simple. The See and Hear Piano series works. Using a simple step-by-step approach covering chord construction, voicing, chord progressions, runs, and the circle of fifths, our audio and video tapes will teach you how to play your favorite songs and improvise like a pro. Call this number right now and try the See and Hear Piano series risk-free.
Stop making excuses and start making music. Call 1-800-905-PIANO. That's 1-800-905-PIANO. Try See and Hear with a 60-day money-back guarantee.
Things were really cooking at the Safety Belt Steakhouse.
Hey, fine rare.
When we pinched them.
Ouch. Betty gives us a ticket.
That's right, and don't call me Betty.
But we never wear safety belts. See, we're dummies.
And here's something even you can understand.
For a good time, call...
No, this.
A ticket?
Police are now ticketing low-life scum who don't wear safety belts, so buckle up.
Surely you can give us a break.
No, and don't call me Shirley.
A message from the Department of Transportation and the Ad Council.
USA Radio Network News, this is Ron Jenkins. The U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations begins his new job today. USA's Connie Lawn has the latest.
Former New Mexico congressman replaces Madeleine Albright in the position. The U.S. continues to press the UN for reform, but many in the UN claim they will not listen until the U.S. pays the more than $1 billion debt it owes. President Clinton says he wants to pay the money, but a majority of leaders in the Congress oppose the trends in the UN and are in no rush to repay the funds. Connie Lawn, USA Radio News, Washington.
Shuttle Discovery astronauts Mark Lee and Stephen Smith are wrapping up the 5th and final spacewalk this hour to finish upgrading the Hubble Space Telescope. They will re-enter the shuttle within the next few minutes. Mission Control says one of the final operations has just been completed.
In Houston, the LGFC is removed.
We can see it.
The LGAC, that acronym standing for Low Gain Antenna Cover. That was a protective cover. That's one of the first items placed on the bottom of the telescope to protect that antenna from any inadvertent bumping. That antenna cover will be has been now removed.
The Discovery crew will place the Hubble back in space orbit tonight, then begin wrapping up the mission after final testing of the telescope's new electronics. This is USA Radio News.
If you had to retire now, right this minute, could you? Probably not. Retirement isn't supposed to be scary. It's a reward for a lifetime of hard work, but you wouldn't know that by today's headlines. Social Security is ready to collapse. Your company pension plan won't be there when you need it. Without a big fat nest egg in the bank, we'll end up on the streets. What these headlines don't tell you is that by doing one simple thing, you can put money in the bank and start looking forward to a carefree retirement, no matter how far behind you think you may be, or how much or how little you have in savings, even if you're over 55. Does this sound impossible? Let me assure you, it's not. Take the first step and make this call, 800-GOLD-KRC. This information is free and will show you how to put away an extra $300,000 for retirement. This is a zero-risk offer. Call 800-GOLD-KRC, 800-465-3572.
The investigation into alleged influence peddling in the 1996 presidential election has brought with it 20 new subpoenas and word from the chief investigator that there could be more. Dan Burton, Indiana Republican and chairman of the House Committee on Government Reform and Oversight, is working alongside Senator Fred Thompson's Governmental Affairs Committee, looking at possible foreign influence in the U.S. election process. Jeff Birnbaum, Washington Bureau Chief of Fortune magazine, says Burton has a big job in front of him.
Dan Burton, the chairman of the committee in the House that's looking into this, wishes he didn't have such an extensive investigation, but so much has been happening and so much has been flowing perhaps improperly into Democratic coffers that he's expanded his investigation, and looks like he'll have a lot of work to do.
U.S. Secretary of State Madeleine Albright attended her first NATO foreign ministers meeting as she continues her 9-country tour. She's in France. This is USA Radio News.
Does your home need a new roof this season? If your roof needs replacing fast, then call Sears Roofing now. A Sears authorized expert will examine your roof and give you a free estimate. Sears Roofing is sold furnished and installed by Diamond Exteriors, a Sears authorized contractor, so you know you'll get expert installation guaranteed. Not available in all areas. Sears Roofing is ready to help you, so call now. 1-800-452-6200. That's 800-452-6200.
A Georgian diplomat expected to face trial in the U.S. for allegedly causing a fatal car crash and the death of a 16-year-old girl might serve some or all of his punishment in his native country. USA's John Decker has more.
Georgian President Eduard Shevardnadze suggested in a radio interview that his government would push to have the Georgian diplomat serve any punishment in Georgia rather than the U.S. Shevardnadze says there will be serious negotiations with the U.S. as to where the diplomat, if he's found guilty, serves time. Prosecutors are expected to seek a grand jury indictment charging the diplomat with involuntary manslaughter now that Georgia has waived his diplomatic immunity. John Decker, USA Radio News, Washington.
Sources in the Chinese capital of Beijing say there are major concerns about the health of China's paramount leader, Deng Xiaoping. Sources say his health has deteriorated to the point that the country's chief leaders have cut short trips to the provinces to get back to Beijing. Ron Jenkins on the USA Radio Network.
Erase it. You may not even know it. You and your eyesight are in a race against time, because the longer you live, the greater your risk of developing a retinal degenerative disease that could lead to blindness. Even if your eyesight is fine now, diseases like retinitis pigmentosa and macular degeneration could catch up with you, like it has for as many as 6 million Americans. This is one race you don't want to lose. Call the Foundation Fighting Blindness at 1-800-683-5555 for a free information packet on retinitis pigmentosa or macular degeneration, including information about symptoms, treatment, and research. After all, the more you know now, the better your chances of beating it later. Call the Foundation Fighting Blindness for your free information packet at 1-800-683-5555 today. Because in the race against time, the cure in sight could be your own.
Tonight, while Art Bell is recovering from the cold he caught flying home from Mexico, Chancellor Broadcasting Company presents the absolute best of Art Bell. We take you way back to the scratchy analog days of 1993 to vintage Art Bell and his classic 3-hour interview with Al Bielek, followed by 2 hours with Preston Nichols and the subsequent Montauk Experiment. It's a dandy and one of Art's all-time favorite shows. And now, hour number 2, featuring Art Bell and Al Bielek on the Philadelphia Experiment.
Al, are you still there?
Sam.
All right, let's now. Out of state, you're on the air in Las Vegas with Al Bielek. Where are you calling from, please?
I'm calling from Alaska.
Alaska, all right.
I believe you're absolutely correct about who did the experiment, the New World Order, the international bankers that took over our gold standard back in 1913.
Right.
I'm sure you're absolutely right. I'm the guy that predicts earthquakes, and we're going to have some in September.
Okay.
All right, any questions, sir? Any questions from Mr. Bielek?
Oh, yeah, questions. Gosh, I don't know how you're going to be able to prove to anybody you're telling the truth, but I don't really have a question. Good luck.
Thank you.
Well, I can then indirectly answer his question. Proof today of this is very difficult. The proof was almost in my hand several times, but let's say the government moved faster and got there first.
Well, they have lots of resources, Al.
They have vast resources, believe me.
All right, line 3, you're on the air with Al Bielek. Good morning.
Yes, hi, Art and Al. Al, I'd like to know if you're related to the Dr. Cameron in Canada that was working with the CIA in mind control experiments.
Not that I know of. The family name is the same. And of course, I didn't tell the story how I became Al Bielek, but nevertheless, I am fully aware of the Cameron story in Canada and MK Ultra and the whole CIA project up there. And believe me, when I visited Montreal to give a series of lectures about years ago, I asked this question of my host if they heard of or knew of the Dr. Cameron. He says, oh, yes, we all know about him up here. And the Canadians were not pleased when they found out what was going on. Yes, I do know him, but as far as I know, he's not directly related.
Okay, because his father was a Duncan Cameron, and he graduated from Glasgow. I thought you might be related. But did you say your brother, was he involved with the sodomy project, that Montauk project?
I'm sorry, what was that again?
Your brother, was he involved with abducted boys who were, the sodomy project, the Montauk project?
Yes, he was involved with the Montauk project. I was also, but as Al Bielek. And we were both involved, as well as some other people, including Preston Nichols. Duncan was heavily involved with the Montauk project, that's true, but that is Duncan in the new body. That's another aspect of the story that's hard to go into, but he died in the project in the 83, and he was born into, replaced, shall we say, put into another body back in 1963, which had been born in 51.
Oh,
But, metaphysics, it's hard to believe and accept, but nevertheless, the groups working with the government are very capable of, shall we say, shoving souls around and putting them anywhere as they want.
Where are you calling from, ma'am?
Salt Lake City.
Okay, any other questions?
Oh, that's fine. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much, and good morning. This, yes, you're beginning to get a bit metaphysical on us now, Al, but you say, I'm sure it all winds together.
It all locks together, but I'll try to keep it to hard science and things which are directly observable.
All right, out of state, you're on the air with Al Bielek in Phoenix. Where are you calling from, please?
Calling from Alaska.
From Alaska again, all right.
Okay.
Go ahead. Oh, turn your radio off, sir. That's number one. Turn your radio off.
Your caller is weak on the line.
I really have a question here. I hear these loose terms such as quantum mechanics and such, and if he's anywhere near familiar with quantum mechanics, he'll understand that any one event can set out a chain reaction of many other events in ever-expanding cone down a timeline. This is as dictated by Stephen W. Hawking, one of the world's leading physicists, who claims that we have not got a grand unified theory yet. My question is, how is he going to prove this?
All right, thank you. It's a good question.
Familiar with the name Hawkins. I have one of his books.
Right, I've read it as well. How are you going to endeavor to prove what you're saying? Or even any portion of it, Al?
Well, that's not easy. Quantum physics does make certain statements, and then when the Navy engaged in certain experiments in 1973, which one I was given in the way of information. They wanted to go back in time and assassinate the man who was the father of the person they knew would be the new leader of the New World Order. They assumed that by assassinating the father before he married, that the son alive today would disappear.
Right.
They went back in the past, assassinated the man, and the son didn't disappear. Nothing happened to him. So they scratched their heads and they went to the physicists and said, aha, quantum physics, quantum mechanics, and time is quantized as well as the physical universe. Therefore, you only affect the events within the area where you were. You do not affect the entire time stream into the future. Now, that is what their statement was. And
so you create a temporary disturbance only.
But not a complete disruption.
And it kind of folds back into its original line.
Yes. But that's not entirely true, because what they were using was a time machine which was operating on a single line reality only. Montauk was capable of encompassing all the alternate realities.
Oh, my. Wait, let's keep moving here. A lot of people want to talk to you, Al. Out of state, you're on the air with Al Bielek in Phoenix. Where are you calling from, please? Hello?
Yes, I'm calling from Medford, Oregon.
Medford, Oregon, all right.
Yes, let's see. The first question I had was, let's see, back in the story there, one of the things that he said was about Pearl Harbor's attack on the United States, and that he was notified and pulled out before that attack.
They got him out, yes.
Right. Why was there no, I mean, what about everybody else that was there? I just wonder why, it seems kind of unbelievable.
No, that's a good question. Al, if they actually had enough knowledge to get you and your cohorts out, why not prepare for the Japanese attack and be ready?
Because there was a complete setup ordered by Roosevelt to have an attack on the United States in order to get us into the war. That's the bottom line.
I've heard that one before.
And there's plenty of evidence after the war was over when they started investigating the wreckage, and it was published openly in the papers.
All right, I'm afraid we have to break here, folks.
This is the CBC Radio Network.
I like the clarity of a digital phone. No more hum or disconnects or clicks. None of that baloney. Neighbors interfering with you. Sometimes their signal stronger than yours so that the person on the other end can't even hear you. All of that gone when you own a real digital phone. And I'm talking about the 900 NDL phone. And boy, do we have it on sale. If Newt Gingrich had been using digital, either as a cordless or cellular, he wouldn't be in all the big jam he's in right now. So, yeah, I know. A lot of people buy it for privacy, and it's a good reason, because nobody can hear you. Nobody. Not a soul. Get your own phone and listen on a scanner. It's up at 900 and, I think, between 10 and 20 megahertz in that area, way up above cellular. You can't hear a thing. Nothing. A little rise in the noise level, or what seems to be the white noise level. That's all. Totally indecipherable. So that's a good reason to buy it, or distance. I can go a mile away from my home. The price right now, overwhelmingly cheap for what it is. $129.95. $129.95, and believe me, that's a one-time insurance payment, if you follow me. You'll love this phone. You'll never let it go. The 900 NDL from VTech and Bob Crane. Call them at 7:30 in the morning, Pacific time, at 1-800-522-8863. That's 1-800-522-8863, the C. Crane Company. How many times have you bought a great book but never got around to reading it? Waste of money, right? All because you don't have the time. Well, now you can enjoy all the wonderful stuff you've been missing. How? The Columbia House Audio Book Club. With audio books, you can listen to your favorite authors while you're driving, working around the house, whatever. To introduce you to the club, Columbia House will give you 4 of today's best-selling books on cassette for 1 penny, plus shipping and handling. You'll even get a 5th audiobook free if you pay by credit card, and there's plenty to choose from. Bestsellers like Deepak Chopra's Path to Love and John Gray's Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. Do you like novels? How about Michael Crichton's thriller, Airframe? Or visit the hilarious world of office politics in the Dilbert Principle. To receive 4 audiobooks, all for a penny, call 1-800-325-6921. Pay now by credit card. Get a 5th audiobook free. In return for your introductory audiobooks, just buy 4 more in the next 2 years at regular club prices. Call now. 1-800-325-6921. That's 1-800-325-6921. Vice President Al Gore, our Vice President, said the following: telecommunications industry is by all odds the single most important, lucrative marketplace of the 21st century. Well, he sure is right. Microtech is a company developing something called SMR, Specialized Mobile Radio. A great investment opportunity. Already built in New York, LA, Houston, Boston, Detroit, more. But here comes the last site licensed to investors. The door is closing on this opportunity, and they suggest a minimum $8,700 investment now could return to you $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 or more, plus a yearly income for the rest of your life, and it folds, if you wish it to, right into your IRA or retirement plan. Now, you need to meet some investor qualifications, but they will send you a free video and all the information you need to make the right choice. Call toll-free, 1-800-444-1049. That's 1-800-444-1049.
And now, back to the best of Art Bell.
Let us keep moving if we can. Good morning, line 1. You're on the air with Al Bielek in Phoenix.
Yes, good morning. Very interesting. I hope your guests can hear me. 3 quick questions. Just a few weeks ago, a young colleague of Edward Teller's, Lawrence Livermore Labs, said this story was bunk. Should I disbelieve him in the future about anything else? 2, you're right, they do have von Neumann as dead in 1957. If he's alive now, he'd be about 90. Why did they have him dead, and are there other people you could name that they also had dead who were still alive?
All right, you better slow down here, and we better get some answers.
Let me get down to the chase here. What kind of models did you use for this, and what is to keep a contemporary electromagnetic buff from making his own model at home?
All right, stay on the line, please. Al?
Okay. You spoke with a colleague at TELUS who said the story was bunk?
I didn't speak with him. He has a radio program of his own.
Okay. Well, you can... also, we had a chorus there of a number of other scientists who also consider it bunk. H. Stanton Friedman, Bruce Maccabee, etc. They are all part of the government disinformation team because they don't want the facts out. The government still denies to this day that that experiment ever took place. But if that's the case, then I'll ask you a question. Why have they made it under the revised federal felony laws of 1987, the felony espionage laws, a felony offense to talk about either the Philadelphia experiment or the Eldridge on a Navy base? If there is nothing to it, why is it a felony offense to talk about it on a Navy base?
Well, or how about this? If it's a felony offense to talk about it, how come you're free?
Well, I haven't talked about it on a Navy base, number one.
Oh, on a Navy base.
On a Navy base, correct.
Well, that's a good question.
Off base. Number 2, what is the modeling for this?
No, von Neumann's death in 57.
Okay, von Neumann was dying of cancer, and they pulled him out, cured him of the cancer, put him under what is well known as the Federal Protected Witnesses Program, gave him a new identity, and had him continue. He had to be alive and kept alive at least until 1983. Because of the involvement with the Montauk Project on the 12th of August, 83. And he is still alive today. I've met with him. We've gone out to dinner. He unfortunately now has a problem of a split personality, and he's not very often in his right mind. And I think that is probably induced by the government for the sake of covering up. There are other people who have done this too also. I don't know if you're familiar with the story of a Dr. Frederick Kuipers, who was brought over to the United States as Project Paperclip in 1946-47. He also had a fake funeral in 1962 on Lincoln's birthday. I know his daughter very well, and she told me a rather interesting story.
All right, we're being pressed by the top of the hour here. Caller, your phone.
Others. Thank you very much. Okay, there are others of the same nature. The government does this at their convenience for whatever reason. Well, as far as proof is concerned, that's quite difficult. The model of this thing is highly mathematical, involves going back into history of people who developed the mathematics for it, Dr. Norman Levinson.
All right, Al, we're now on the news. Can you stay another hour?
Sure.
All right, stay right there. Al Bielek, my guest. We'll be back.
Stay tuned for more of the best of Art Bell.
You've got tax questions. Who doesn't? The important thing is, where do you go for answers? Well, try calling the Internal Revenue Service. Teletax is your 24-hour toll-free helpline. You'll have access to recorded information on about 150 tax topics, from deductions to dependents to business expenses. Just call 1-800-829-4477. That's 1-800-829-4477 for Teletax. At the IRS, we want to help. In fact, that's why we're here.
In the next 60 seconds, I'm going to do something terrible to anyone who's ever wanted to play the piano. I'm going to take away your excuses. I'm George Mladen, and right now you can learn to play the piano using the See and Hear Piano series. The same simple learn-at-home method that's already taught thousands of people to play, with a full 60-day money-back guarantee. How can we make such an offer? Simple. The See and Hear Piano series works. Using a simple step-by-step approach covering chord construction, voicing, chord progressions, runs, and the circle of fifths, our audio and video tapes will teach you how to play your favorite songs and improvise like a pro. Call this number right now and try the See and Hear Piano series risk-free.
Stop making excuses and start making music. Call 1-800-905-PIANO. That's 1-800-905-PIANO. Try See and Hear with a 60-day money-back guarantee.
Things were really cooking at the Safety Belt Stakeout.
Big fine rare.
When we pinched them.
Ouch. Betty gives us a ticket.
That's right, and don't call me Betty.
But we never wear safety belts. See, we're dummies.
Then here's something even you can understand.
For a good time, call...
No, this.
A ticket?
Police are now ticketing low-life scum who don't wear safety belts, so buckle up.
Surely you can give us a break.
No, and don't call me Shirley.
A message from the Department of Transportation and the Ad Council.
USA Radio Network News, this is Ron Jenkins. Astronauts Mark Lee and Stephen Smith have wrapped up spacewalk number 5 for the Shuttle Discovery crew, putting a new insulating blanket around the Hubble Space Telescope and performing a couple of minor tweaking operations to finish the job. NASA thanking the crew for a job well done.
It's been kind of amazing because all the nominal things have gone nominal, but there have been a lot of other things to keep everybody working hard. And I'll also say we right now are getting a beautiful view with the elbow camera of the Hubble telescope. It's actually, externally, I have to say, it's not quite as beautiful as we left it 3 years ago, but we all know that beauty is only skin deep.
Hubble will be put back in orbit tonight. Then the electronics will be tested, and everything goes right. The crew will turn it loose and move away to prepare for the journey home. Kenneth Starr, special whitewater prosecutor, is leaving that post. He'll take over as Dean of Pepperdine University in California. Starr insists that does not mean the Whitewater investigation will end, but he does admit he doesn't know who's going to take over when he leaves.
See, the special division of the U.S. Court of Appeals that would make the decision. But again, we're talking many months from now.
Starr won't start his Pepperdine job until August 1st. And tensions are mounting on the Korean Peninsula despite indications from North Korea that it may accept the defection of a high-ranking diplomat. This is USA Radio News.
Are you spinning your wheels at your present job, underpaid, overworked, retired, or need extra income for the good life? National Vending would like to tell you about the most exciting business of a lifetime in a $35 billion growth industry. Do you want to make an extra $500, $600, $700 a week or more in an all-cash business? A business with no selling required, no debts to collect, and no overhead. Call 1-800-617-6430. That's 1-800-617-6430. Find out how, with a small investment, you can make $25,000 $20,000, $30,000, $35,000 a year or more, perhaps a lot more, and work as little as 5 to 10 hours a week. Call 1-800-617-6430 to find out how you can get involved in this explosive industry and how you can get started. You can keep your current job, and there's no selling involved. Best of all, it's an all-cash business. Call now for details. Timing is critical. Get in on the ground floor. 1-800-617-6430. That's 1-800-617-6430.
The president heads for the Big Apple on Tuesday to appear at a Democratic Party fundraiser. USA's John Decker has details.
The estimated $1 million that will be taken in from donors will benefit the Democratic Senatorial Campaign Committee. In the face of House and Senate investigations into campaign fundraising, a White House spokesman said Tuesday's event is entirely within the limits of the law. Meanwhile, Senator John McCain, a sponsor of a campaign finance reform bill, is demanding that Attorney General Janet Reno appoint an independent counsel to investigate possible Democratic fundraising improprieties. John Decker, USA Radio News, Washington.
An American Airlines spokesman says 2.5 million people called the airline switchboards Monday, hoping to take advantage of an airfare war. America slashed its prices by as much as half after President Clinton intervened early Saturday to stop a strike by American pilots. 4 major airlines joined in the cost-cutting move, and the war was on. This is USA Radio News.
Do you have an interest in high-tech fields like electronics or computer-aided drafting? Career opportunities exist for those who qualify with the proper knowledge and skill. At ITT Tech, these associate degree programs are generally offered mornings, afternoons, or evenings. Financial aid is even available to those who qualify. And there's job placement assistance for graduates. For an ITT Tech brochure, call toll-free 1-800-238-1166. 1-800-238-1166.
A Georgian diplomat accused of killing a 16-year-old American girl might not serve his time in this country, but rather in the Soviet Union, or the former Soviet Union. USA's Connie Lawn has more.
The State Department is delighted that diplomatic immunity has been waived for the Georgian diplomat accused of causing the death of a 16-year-old girl in Washington. But the State Department appears to have worked out a compromise. It could allow the diplomat to serve his prison time in his native country. The U.S. Justice Department will first prosecute him. Under American law, he could receive 30 years in jail on charges of drunken driving and manslaughter. Connie Lawn, USA Radio News, Washington.
The celebration is on in the Netherlands for Blackjack. Blackjack is the latest effort by tulip growers in that country to develop a black tulip. They say this one is the darkest ever. It's been a 15-year quest. Ron Jenkins on the USA Radio Network.
Do you wake up with neck and shoulder pain? Try the Contour Pillow, anatomically designed for the natural contour of your head and neck to support and align your spine for a great night's sleep. Look, ordinary pillows lose shape and sag, causing neck tension and back pain. But the Contour Pillow provides gentle orthopedic support. Tense muscles relax. You awake refreshed.
The difference I feel in my neck and my back is really amazing.
Best of all, my husband doesn't snore anymore.
Therapeutic pillows cost $60 or more. Now enjoy the ultimate night's sleep for only $19.95. Order in the next 10 minutes and we'll also include this washable cover absolutely free. Enjoy the best night's sleep you've ever had or return it for a full refund. The Contour Pillow is now available. Order now.
For rush delivery, have your credit card ready and call 1-800-841-6767. Just $19.95 plus $5.95 shipping and handling. Don't be fooled by imitations. Order the original Contour Pillow now. Call 1-800-841-6767.
Tonight, while Art Bell is resting, recovering from the cold he caught flying home from Mexico, Chancellor Broadcasting Company presents the absolute best of Art Bell. We take you way back to the scratchy analog days of 1993 to vintage Art Bell and his classic 3-hour interview with Al Bielek, followed by 2 hours with Preston Nichols and the subsequent Montauk Experiment. It's a dandy and one of Art's all-time favorite shows. And now, hour number 3, featuring Art Bell and Al Bielek on the Philadelphia Experiment.
Line 1, you're on the air with Al Bielek in Las Vegas. Hi.
Yes, Mr. Bell, thank you for having me on. I just caught this on my way home, ran home real quick to get it, so if this is a stupid question, it's already been asked. I was just kind of curious. And I'll hang up and take the answer on the air, on my radio. Did President Kennedy's death have anything to do with this?
I'm sorry, and President whose?
The assassination of President Kennedy. Was that involved with the government, any part of this experiment with either bringing him back or...
Not to my knowledge.
Okay, and as for going into the future, is his death ever solved?
Is his death ever resolved?
Solved.
Solved. That's pretty well solved now. I don't think one has to go much further into the future because enough records have been released, enough movie films have fairly well nailed it down.
Right. Thank you, caller. And to pursue this just a little bit, why would it not be possible, Al, to go back and stop the assassination?
That's a good question. Theoretically, it might be. I don't know if there has ever been any attempt or a desire anywhere to make the attempt to do it.
I can see that a relatively unknown person would make a relatively small ripple in time.
Right.
But my God, President Kennedy, if you were to change that and he was not assassinated, would cause a gigantic explosion in time.
Yes, he would. It would cause an enormous upheaval because of the fact of what he was doing and the reasons why he was assassinated. Because he wanted to eliminate the Fed and print U.S. notes. He wanted the CIA to reveal the fact that they were not only in drug business, but they were also the other group suppressing the facts about UFOs and ETs. So,
well, I do understand he had signed an executive order that would have had a big effect on the Fed, and that was then reversed by Johnson.
Yes. Yeah, and he also already had issued a large number of U.S. notes, which is legal tender under our Constitution. So he had a number of people who were out for his head, so to speak, and eventually they did get it.
All right. We've got to keep moving here. Very quickly, out of state, where are you calling from, please? Hello? No, you're not. Line 2, you're on the air with Al Bielek in Las Vegas. Good morning.
Yeah, I'm pretty much on the believing side of time travel and Philadelphia experiment, stuff like that. I had a question. The time field that the modern day time machines you're talking about would have, would there be any type of equipment to be able to sense the disturbance in the time continuum when they would use it?
Oh, that's a good question. Is there a way to detect time travel in progress, Al?
In progress?
Yeah, in other words...
Yeah, I understand what you mean.
To detect the presence of the field.
And you sense the field if somebody's playing this game?
Yeah.
That I can't answer. I don't know. Theoretically, anything's possible, but I don't know of any way at this point where it could be done. There should be sensing means for determining when somebody is playing a game of some sort with the time field, but I don't know.
All right. Anything else, caller?
Yeah, on the time machines that are like for the modern day, do they still use like a magnetic field?
Okay, thank you, caller. Are they still using a magnetic field, was the question now.
You mean for this type of work?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I can't answer what they're doing in terms of current technology because it's gone through many generations.
Surely the experiment with the Eldridge would have been very detectable. In fact,
very.
With the kind of power that you were transmitting at 160 megahertz, that alone would have been detectable for...
Yes, with today's equipment, there would be no question it could have been detected. And, of course, with radar equipment for that frequency only, or the receivers, they would pick it up. But after the ship became radar invisible, of course, then they couldn't pick up the field anymore because it had already unfolded on itself and done the time phase shift number.
So it was gone, literally.
That's right. The field was not detectable after a certain point.
All right. Very quickly, line 2, you're on the air with Al Bielek in Las Vegas. Where are you calling from, please? Line 2? No, you're not there. Out of state. Good morning. You're on the air.
Hi.
Hello. Where are you calling us from, sir?
Ooga Booga Land.
Oh, I don't think we'll deal with that. Line 3, you're on the air with Al Bielek.
Dr. Bielek, I have a question. What is the name of these fundamental set of equations that govern classical electromagnetism?
I'm sorry, would you repeat the question?
What is the name of the set of equations that govern classical electromagnetism?
Well, if you go into classical electromagnetism, you're going to find that there are discrepancies there, and it does not agree with some of the work.
I'd just like to know the name instead of the equations.
I couldn't give you all of that information.
Okay, that's fine, because the name is Maxwell's equations, which probably any sophomore in physics now understands. Okay, and I find, I know Max Dresden, who was John von Neumann's graduate student. I was with him at the University of Kansas, and he talked about being at the von Neumann funeral in 1957, sir.
It was a funeral.
Yeah, and I have heard of Dr. Friedman, who was at the Linear Collider out at Stanford. I've heard him speak, and he seems like a very credible person. I have spoken with him just very briefly, but I've been to a couple of his lectures. He seems very credible. And thirdly, I'd like to point out something, that it is possible to distort space-time, but you need something that has a very, very large mass, such as a black hole. So I have to say this, sir, that I don't believe...
Well, all right, hold on. Let him respond. You just said the only way to distort it was a black hole or the event horizon of black hole.
So basically a large mass.
Yeah, I understand. All right, Al, go ahead and answer that.
Well, that's in terms of current thinking and where they're admitting maybe time travel is possible in terms of classical physics as it's viewed today. It does not require a large mass. It requires manipulation of the three basic elements of our field theory. If you manipulate three, namely electric field, gravitic field, and tachyon field, you then manipulate the fourth, which is the time field. It does take power, but it does not take mass. Mass has nothing to do with it, and mass is a misnomer in terms of the real physics, if you ever went through it, because what they teach today in the universities in terms of electromagnetic theory and physics is largely garbage.
All right. Out of state, you're on the air with Al Bielek in Phoenix. Good morning. Where are you calling from, please? Hello, out of state. Are you there? Somebody's got their radio on. Last opportunity. Are you there? Line 1, you're on the air.
Yeah, I thought questions for your guest. So then the government can send someone into the future to learn anything they want, I would suppose. And what would the aliens think about humans having such capabilities now?
Well, in terms of that, they were part and parcel of the Montauk Project, so that they were, in that sense, aiding and abetting the project. They were assisting in terms of the Montauk Project, in terms of the more standardized time travel. That was not alien technology, that was homegrown technology here on Earth. The Germans, prior to the end of World War II, had functioning time machines. Von Neumann had one in a laboratory in 1944, and the work that's been done since then, after the war was over, has in part been strictly homegrown technology, that is Earth technology, and in a larger sense, there has been contributions by aliens because of the agreement and the treaty that was made in 1954 with Eisenhower.
All right, caller.
Thank you.
Thank you. Out of state, very quickly, you're on the air with Al Bielek in Phoenix.
Good morning. I had a question about the 3839 death ray test.
All right.
Okay.
What exactly was the extent of those tests, and where are those tests lead us to now?
All right, the death ray, Al.
That was tested in White Sands, New Mexico, test range 3839, according to secondhand information from witnesses who were there. And what happened was they had a very large laser-like device that Tesla had designed. It emitted a green ray, according to the eyewitnesses, and any object it was aimed at, it was a pulse-charged device with huge capacitor banks. It took a certain finite period of time to charge up the capacitors after a firing. They aimed it at a truck or a tank that turned green and disappeared. Then the last test, they apparently aimed at they had tried animals too, but they aimed it at a mountaintop. From what I'm told, the mountaintop disappeared, and that was a little too much for the military people in charge of the test. The story is that they ordered the equipment destroyed and the notes buried. I find it hard to believe myself that if they had a weapon of that capability, that they would bury it and destroy it. But
so it was basically virtually disintegrated an object.
All right, thank you. In other words, it made things disappear. Actually, more than just disappear, Al. They
were gone permanently.
Gone permanently. With the earlier caller, Mr. Critic, who was on earlier, I am not a physicist, Al. I've got a little basic electronics, or maybe more than a little, and I've worked in microwave, and I know a little bit about magnetism, but I don't know the equations that govern magnetism.
Well,
but he said, what were they? Any sophomore would know in physics, and I don't know. So how do you answer that?
The question was rather ambiguous in the first place. Yes, you can quote Maxwell and Maxwell's equations, but the problem there is you have to go back to the original Maxwell equations as published well over 100 years ago, and not the truncated version taught in the universities today, which were derived by Heaviside in 1875. And you also have to consider Dr. Hertz and his Hertzian waves, and the theory which he expounded, and the current basic theory which is taught in the universities, which is partly correct and partly incorrect. One of the things they teach you, which you may remember yourself from all of your work, is that the electromagnetic wave, as a radio wave, the magnetic component is propagated at the same rate as the electric field. That is not true.
Oh, it is not true?
No. The magnetic field is propagated at a rate of 0.6 that of the electric field, and a combined radio wave, which is a first-order wave electromagnetically. And a radio wave is propagated according to theory at the speed of light. Now, of course, you get into an argument there as what is the speed of light. It is not a constant. It is on the Earth in the manner in which methods by which we have measured it. But Einstein himself denied that it was a constant, said he was misquoted, that he never said it was a constant other than on Earth, on the electromagnetic field as we know it here on Earth, and on the conditions in which we have measured it.
Well, we certainly know that magnetism affects light, as evidenced by what a black hole does with light.
That's true.
All right, let's keep moving here. Line 2, you're on the air with Al Bielek.
Yes, I'd like to know the name of the man who was assassinated in 1973 to prevent the future birth, and also the name of the members of the secret New World Order government.
All right, well, one at a time here. That's quite a tall order. The name of the man who was assassinated, Al?
In 1973?
Yes.
I do not have that name as to who the man was. Insofar as the members of the Secret World Order are concerned, I recommend that you acquire a copy of John Coleman's book entitled The Conspirators' Hierarchy, the Committee of 300. He lays it all out there in exact terms and names all of the people who are part of the Committee of 300, past and present. And it's a very interesting, concise, and informative book on the political conspiracies and how all of these organizations like CFR, Trilateral Commission, Bilderbergers, Club of Rome, Illuminati, the wonderful little Skull and Bones organization, or they all fit together.
All right, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let's see, do we have enough time? Line 3, you're on the air with Al Bielek in Phoenix. Good morning.
Hi, I'd like to know if the electromagnetic disturbances in the Bermuda Triangle are related to experiments such as in Philadelphia.
Oh, that is a good question. Where are you calling from, sir?
In San Francisco Bay Area in California.
Yeah, okay. What about it, Al?
Answer is no. The disturbances in the Bermuda Triangle are still a matter of conjecture. When Ivan Sanderson was alive, and I worked with him on that, he was of the opinion that it was a natural phenomenon because there are 12 such areas on the planet Earth forming an essentially perfect geodesic grid. And as part of the complete grid and ley line system of the Earth, but these are the 12 primaries. The second most active one on the Earth is over in the Japan Sea, east of the islands of Japan, and they've lost some pretty big ships in there, too.
All right, that will have to serve as an answer, so the answer caller is no. Thank you very much, and I'll hold on just a moment.
This is the CBC Radio Network.
Do you have hard water? Are you plagued by that ugly white stuff on your water fixtures? Dishes, ceramic tiles, and toilet bowls? Are you worried about ruining your water heater with scale buildup? Well, stop. Stop worrying. You can solve all these problems with a GMX magnetic water system. No maintenance, no messy filters, no big electric bills, and best of all, no salt. GMX conditions your water, maintaining its healthy minerals while eliminating the problems connected with hard water. So your water is great for drinking and plants. The GMX system has an unconditional 90-day money-back guarantee and a lifetime warranty, so there's nothing to stop you from trying it out. Plus, why not consider starting an exciting new home business? call for information. 1-800-4060-GMX. And guess what? The GMX special offer is still open. If you buy the GMX magnets, they'll send you free one of the most remarkable inventions I've ever seen. This revolutionary product, a $75 value, will clean your clothes without detergent. That's right, more 21st century technology. We use it, and it works. Call 1-800-4060-GMX. That's 1-800-4060-GMX. This offer won't last forever, so call now. Absolutely fresh flowers. Now, did you send your Valentine some flowers? You did, right? Well, if you did, you know how good a deal it is. All year long. It is a flower farm in Southern California. All they grow is miniature carnations. Far as the eye can see, miniature carnations, and they're beautiful. And you get you know, the deal is just incredible. You get this big triangular box full of miniature carnations for $42.95, along with a card from you with your message and name, handwritten, very powerful, very emotional, great for anniversaries, birthdays, any kind of special event at all. They're available 24 hours a day. Try it. That's FedEx, by the way. Next day, FedEx during the week. You call today, they deliver tomorrow. 1-800-562-6438. That's 1-800-562-6438. Absolutely fresh flowers. Are you making too many trips to the bathroom? If you are, you know that. And you're not alone. Loss of libido, sex drive, yet another symptom. Well, here's the guy who can help you out, Dr. Michael Toplinski. Over the years, in his medical practice, he's put together a kind of a soup of all natural things that he has found to actually clinically affect the size of the prostate and then obviously the symptoms. So if you have those symptoms, short of surgery, here's something you're going to want to try. All right? You buy 2 bottles, you get a third one free, gratis. That means you are now in possession of a 3-month supply for the price of 2. What you do is try it. Take it for 3 months. If your symptoms are not better, you get your money back. It's a straightforward, ironclad deal. The number to call right now, 1-800-249-6060. It's offered by a company called Physician's Choice. And the number again, 1-800-249-6060.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the show. I'm Art Bell. My guest is Al Bielek. If you've been listening carefully, the man told you how to build something to cause something to disappear or travel in time. Or travel in space. And Al, if somebody were to take what you have described technically as an outline, the RF field, the rotating magnetic fields, and would you advise them, don't try this at home?
I would definitely advise them, don't try it at home. Besides, you would never get it to work without certain other key elements that are involved, which are very difficult to get in the way of hardware. And the system encompassed more than that. You had to have a zero-time reference generator, and that was something which Tesla himself developed in the 20s and is used today in every piece of equipment built for the FAA and a lot of other government craft.
Could you remake this?
I could possibly, but I don't think I would want to, because the form of field that was created was incorrect. It was wrong. In other words, an open toroid. Though the toroid shape was closed, the field was open in the sense that anything in the middle where the effect takes place is not shielded from outside influence, and that was the problem. The Eldridge was not shielded from outside influence. If they'd used a form of the closed oblate spheroid field, then the ship would have been shielded, and that required a lot more theory, and while the theory was available, the electromagnetic complications in terms of hardware were far beyond what they wanted to handle at that time.
All right, hold it there, Al. Let's go out of state. You're on the air with Al Bielek. Where are you calling from, please?
Yes, I'm calling from California. I would like to ask Mr. Bielek, time and space folds like an accordion. Is this what I'm kind of understanding?
No, it doesn't fold like an accordion under normal usage. There are ways of folding it, if you will, which certain alien groups know, and apparently use that as a means of propulsion in their ships if the stories are correct. But normally it is not folded. You can envision it more like one of these child's toys, a helix, in which there are waves going through time. And normally it is a very smooth, even transition and even transmission, but it can be disturbed. And there are things which will disturb it, like the lockup of two experiments or a thermonuclear device that's large enough will break the continuity temporarily. Otherwise, it's a smooth transition, a smooth flow.
That's right. An atomic explosion does create a large electromagnetic pulse, doesn't it?
And the thermonuclear device, a hydrogen bomb, is the one that creates the huge pulse. The atomic bomb creates a small one, but not of any great significance.
Well, then I have a question. Could that conceivably then, through just happenstance, a large hydrogen bomb exploding, could it create a time-space disturbance?
Very definitely it does, and it was tested and measured as such in Anahuac in 1954.
Anything else, ma'am?
No, you're doing a wonderful job with this. We're just right with you. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you very much for the call. All right, Al, we're going to just take a very brief break here and then go raging through a lot of calls. A lot of people want to talk to you. Stay right there, Al Bielek. We now pause while some additional stations join the network. Good morning, everybody. This is as wild a one as you may ever hear, and it's coming from Phoenix and Al Bielek. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned for more Vintage Art Bell coming up right after these messages.
This is CBC.
And now, Here's to Your Health News and Nutrition Update. The controversy over screening for prostate cancer continues to rage. Recently, researchers at the University of Toronto concluded that it was inadvisable to test men with no overt symptoms of prostate cancer. Screening for prostate cancer leads to invasive procedures, resulting in a negative effect on the quality of life. Screening with the PSA prostate-specific antigen blood test and the transrectal ultrasound resulted in a very small increase in life expectancy of men between 50 and 70 years of age. The net loss in quality of life from incontinence, impotence, and rectal injuries far outweighed the increase in life expectancy, and the dreaded digital rectal examination produced no reduction at all in deaths from prostate cancer. A recent look at cholesterol-lowering drugs concluded that their use in patients with only mildly elevated cholesterol levels does not halt the development of atherosclerosis or hardening of the arteries in heart disease patients. There was no significant difference in the progression of the hardening of the arteries between the treated group and the placebo group at the end of the treatment period. In both groups, the diameter of the artery scan continued to narrow. The white bark of the birch tree was the recent focus of study at the pharmacy school at the University of Illinois in Chicago. A compound named betulinic acid was identified that demonstrated the ability to shrink human melanoma tumors in lab animals. The birch bark compound outperformed the most widely prescribed drug commonly used to treat this dangerous skin cancer. And good news for those who suffer from the greatest on-the-job hazard of modern day, carpal tunnel syndrome. 200,000 new cases are becoming reported each year. When the soft tissue in the wrist becomes inflamed, the pressure on the nerve results in numbness and debilitating pain in the arms and hands. Doctors typically recommend braces, anti-inflammatory drugs, or surgery in an attempt to relieve the pressure on the nerve. A recent study evaluated carpal tunnel syndrome sufferers who practiced yoga twice a week for 10 weeks. Slow, progressive postures and stretches which focused on neck, shoulder, and upper body flexibility and extending the range of hand motion resulted in a reduction in tenderness and swelling, less pain, and increased grip strength. What a reward for the money and time invested. And that's a news and nutrition update from Here's to Your Health. Good health. It's as close as your radio.
Talk Radio Network.
A war against alternative medicine? Sounds like a conspiracy. Crazies? No, its members are administrators of powerful medical groups, well-placed state and federal agency officials paid off by the pharmaceutical and health insurance industries, and sham citizens groups. How do we know? They've told us publicly on tape, and now you can hear the tape too. The occasion? The 84th annual meeting of the Federation of State Medical Boards. The focus? Fraudulent medical practice. Watch and be wary. The program is devoted to a no-holds-barred assault on alternative medicine docs. You'll hear the obvious. Alternative medicine is shaking the money tree, and conventional medicine is not happy. But there's lots more. Get your own copy of the tape proceedings. Just send $3 to tape, AHTA, 5419 Western Avenue, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, 73109. It's your opportunity to hear how important medical freedom initiatives are to each and every one of us. Order your tape today.
Statistics prove that there is no such thing as a good or a bad memory, just a trained or an untrained memory. You virtually remember everything that you see, hear, read, or even think about. The problem, though, is recalling that information. This is Kevin Trudeau, founder of the American Memory Institute, the world's largest memory training school. You see, everyone has a perfect photographic memory. It's just waiting to be released. Imagine having the memory power to be able to meet 50 people and remember all their names. A powerful memory in business means money, and in school means straight A's with less study time. Over 2 million people have already benefited from the easy-to-learn Mega Memory Home Study course. Now, it's your turn.
The remarkable Mega Memory System will work for you, guaranteed. Call this number, 1-800-558-MEMORY. That's 1-800-558-MEMORY. To develop your Mega Memory, start with this phone number, 1-800-558-MEMORY.
You're listening to an encore performance of Coast to Coast AM with Art Bell.
Line 2, are you there?
Yes.
Where are you calling from, sir?
Las Vegas.
All right, go ahead.
I don't buy it. When I was in college, I minored in physics. I majored in electrical engineering, and everything that you've said is bunk.
Well, you're entitled to your opinions.
No, it's not an opinion.
All right, what specifically, if you're going to say this sort of thing, sir, is bunk, or what can you prove to be bunk?
Okay, your statement that Maxwell's equations, are not complete.
Oh, were you on the air earlier?
Yeah, not on the air earlier.
Okay. Oh, you then go on. Your statements that Maxwell's equations were not complete.
You said that they were not complete. Well, I have a book here. It's called Engineering Electromagnetics, that derives Maxwell's equations step by step, going back to Coulomb's law. There is nothing missing there. And secondly, your contention that, you would need...
Well, let's take them one at a time. Do you want to answer that, Al?
Okay. Now, you're familiar with Tom Bearden. Thomas C. Bearden.
Are you familiar with Mr. Bearden, caller?
No, but I can't really hear, what the other fellow's saying.
I understand. All right, you'll have to listen on the air then. Thank you. All right, Al, go right ahead. What does Mr. Bearden have to do with this?
Well, Bearden has gone through that also and derived the fact that the original Maxwell equations, as written by Maxwell in the handwritten versions, which are well over 100 years old, are not what is currently taught in the universities, because Dr. Heaviside in 1875, because they were hard to understand and they could not accept the idea that in the denominator E as the electrostatic field was, in Maxwell's original equation, stated that it propagates instantaneously throughout the universe, which would immediately violate all of the ideas of relativity and C being the limiting speed of everything in the universe. So that part has been eliminated basically from most of the college texts. Now, you may have some texts that show the original. I am not familiar with every book that's around. But nonetheless, they normally teach the truncated version developed by Heaviside in 1875, which was an attempt to simplify those equations and make them more understandable.
All right. Well, you're over my head. Good morning. Out of state, you're on the air with Al Bielek in Phoenix.
Hi, I need to know all I can find out about Nikola Tesla. I think he's one of the greatest people that ever lived, and I really want to know all I can.
All right, where are you calling from, Colin?
I called earlier from Alaska, but I did have a question.
All right, now, one call per customer, folks, so I'm just going to pass that one by. Line 3, you're on the air.
Hello?
Hello, where are you calling from, sir?
I'm calling from San Diego, California.
All right, fine.
That's right by the border, and I'm not at all skeptical, but please answer these 3 very brief questions for me. You were about to tell us who shot JFK, and you got interrupted. Please tell us who shot him and why.
All right, stop. Who shot JFK, Al?
Best testimony and enhanced pictures taken as a Zapruder and other films indicate that it was done by the driver.
Oh, yes, that theory. The driver did it, sir.
Okay, then please tell me if ex-President George Bush is a part of the New World Order, why did he allow himself to lose the election? And my third brief question is President Clinton now, is he part of it? Does he have all this information, and is he going to be successful? And I find it hard to believe that George Bush would allow himself to lose that power.
All right, thank you.
Part 2, namely with Mr. George Bush, he was part of the New World Order. He does not run it. He was one of the pawns and gears in the works, if you will. He had a great deal of power. He was former director of the CIA before he became president. And he knew a great many things, but he also was limited in his power. He took orders. He took orders from a higher authority in this country, and so does Clinton. Now, where Clinton is going to go with all of this is hard to say, because the scenario is not determined by the president. It is no longer determined by the Congress or the Senate. They are dictated to up and down the line, and you really have to get the book, The Committee of 300, and other material to understand how this whole thing is orchestrated.
Mr. Clinton is being manipulated as well, then?
Yes, Clinton is being manipulated. In fact, he was bought and sold, I'm sorry to say, before he became governor of the state of Arkansas.
All right. Line 1, you're on the air with Al Bielek. Good morning. Where are you calling from, please?
I'm calling from California.
All right.
This is a fascinating program. Unfortunately, we missed a good part of it. Is it possible to buy a tape on it?
Yes. We have somebody. In fact, after the program is over, I'll tell you how you can get a copy, all right?
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Out of state, you're on the air with Al Bielek. Where are you calling from, please?
Seattle, Washington.
In Washington. All right, go ahead.
How you doing tonight?
Fine.
I laid down to go to sleep at 1 o'clock and put your show on and laughed as long as I could, and I'm wide awake, let me tell you. I have a few questions for Al. First off, are you familiar with William Cooper?
Oh, yes.
And do you agree with most of what he says, which agrees so far with a lot of what I've heard you say?
I agree with much of what he says in terms of the political sense. I think his information has been basically very accurate. And there is some dispute, of course. He is the one that has pushed the theory and the idea based on the films that he has shown that Mr. Greer, the driver, was the man who ultimately assassinated President Kennedy. There were others who fired shots. There's no question of that.
I've seen Cooper's films.
Right.
And, again, Greer definitely pulled the trigger.
Right. Now, even if you go back to the 1963 photos published from the original Zapruder films in Life magazine, you can clearly see, though they're not enhanced, you can see that the driver had his hands off the wheel, and the Secret Service man in the right seat had his hand on the wheel. That even shows in the original Zapruder films published by Life magazine. But nevertheless, there is still some dispute as to whether or not Greer was the final and ultimate assassin. There are others who claim there was somebody on the knoll who fired the fatal shot, because there was more than one shot came in at that low angle.
All right, Connor, thank you. Al, they just buried John Connally. And there are a lot of people who wanted the fragments in Connally's body examined. Mm-hmm. The family of Governor Connally did not.
Yeah.
So he apparently has been buried without examination. Would you urge that they exhume that body and take a look at those fragments so we might be able to settle this once and for all?
I think that's something that I would not feel qualified to answer in terms of whether or not you're going to find that much out from this body, because after all, the body's buried, it deteriorates fairly rapidly. The examination would have had to have been made virtually at the time of death or shortly thereafter.
But surely the fragments will not deteriorate.
If there are bullet fragments, they will not. That's true.
All right. Line 2, you're on the air with Al Bielek in Phoenix.
Thank you very much. Apparently the gremlins are at work. KQMS stopped carrying you at 3 a.m. Mr. Bielek, Mr. Charles Bearden. Are you familiar with him? I'm sorry, which one? Charles Bearden. Yes. Is free energy, do you think that's on? Free energy is a vast subject, and a number of people who have been involved in research on this, and not only from the theoretical standpoint, but also from the hardware standpoint, have made various pieces of hardware work. More work has been done on this in Europe and Japan than in the U.S., also in England. Okay. Thomas Searle is one that has been successful. Dr. Saiko of Japan may have been successful, but he's very tight-lipped, if you will. Uh-huh. And Thomas E. Bearden has published a considerable amount on this subject. There have been others like Bedini. There's a whole host of names of people. Bruce De Palma, the Zen machine. And of course, the Zen machine goes back to Faraday 200 years ago for the basic principle. And that has been published and was published and is known that he developed, though we didn't understand why it worked. Right. So yes, there is the free energy is a misnomer in another sense. There is no such thing as free lunch. The energy comes from somewhere else. Right. The problem is understanding where it comes from and why. How about T. Henry Murray? T. of Energy around it? Was very successful. Okay.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, caller. You're on the air with Al Bielek. Where are you calling from, please?
I'm in the Bay Area in California.
Okay, go ahead.
Just a quick question based on the knowledge that you now have. Is the stories that we have in the Bible, are they essentially true or not true, or is just stories?
All right, the Bible, real or just a good story, Mr. Bielek?
Well, I think historically, if you were, is the listener referring to the Book of Revelations or to the Older Testament?
Well, why don't you deal with both?
Right. In terms of the Old Testament, I think you find that historically much of that information is correct. The problem is how far back you take it, because you were missing many of the books in the Old Testament, the books of the Apocrypha and others which are available separately, which show an additional, much older history than is otherwise recognized. Adam and Eve are, in my sense, allegorical. They were not necessarily real as being the originators of the human race on this planet. But in terms of the Book of Revelations, I would say that much of the information in there might yet prove to be correct, because whoever wrote it, in terms of the paper and sense of those days, had an insight and apparently had the ability to see into the future, and they saw things in terms of warfare which have come to pass. And the terrible plagues which are now coming upon us in many respects, they also saw.
All right. Line 1, you're on the air with Al Bielek in Phoenix.
Hello, Art. California.
Yes.
Good morning, Mr. Bielek.
Yes.
And 2 questions. First, since the U.S. government has used the transfer retrieval mechanism to clean up a mess in 73, is it also used to silence or dissuade UFO witnesses and researchers with the Men in Black technique?
Very hard to hear you. Can you, Art, can you repeat the question?
I don't know if I can or not. Are you familiar with the Men in Black technique for silencing people like yourself?
Yes, I am familiar with the charges and the allegations about MIBs. I've never seen one, but I do know people who have.
All right, my second question is on the hardware itself. Doubtless refinements and advances in technology have been applied to the project hardware since the 40s. So how long will it be until a stable tachyon drive fold generator will be in unclassified use?
Good question.
That's a very good question. I don't really know how to answer that one. A tachyon drive system and anti-gravity drive system, they exist, at least in terms of the anti-gravity drive systems today. The government has them, but in terms of being unclassified and generally available, it's very difficult to answer, because who can fathom the mind of the government?
Out of state, you're on the air with Al Bielek in Las Vegas. Hello.
Hi, how are you doing today, Art?
Fine. Where are you calling from?
Gilbert, Arizona.
All right.
I know for a fact that time machines exist, because I have one of my own. That's how I got the Ooga Booga Land.
Oh. Line 2, you're on the air with Al Bielek. Hi.
Good morning, Art. Al.
Two questions. One, what is the exact title of the book that I should actually look up? The Philadelphia Story, and there's another part to that?
The Philadelphia Experiment and Other UFO Conspiracies.
Oh, and other, okay.
Publications is co-authored with Brad Steiger, released in September 1990.
1990.
It's still available, it's still in print.
Okay, yeah, I've had some problems on the publication regarding some involvement here, but how involved are the Russians with time and space testing?
All right, good question. Are they ahead of us, behind us? Where are they?
Sorry, what was
the Russians, Al, where are they with these experiments now?
In terms of the Philadelphia experiment, I don't know if they ever involved themselves in it. In terms of the Montauk Project and that type of work, yes, they had their own parallel project. And when both ended in 83, I know the U.S. one ended in 83 at 12 August. I do not know whether the Russian one did on that date, but I do know through sources that there was a scientific exchange of information as to what they found, what they accomplished, because the approaches were not identical.
All right. Out of state, you're on the air with Al Bielek. Where are you calling from, please?
From Bremerton, Washington.
Okay. You're on one of those telephones. Get off it. Get on a real phone.
Okay.
Thank you. Go ahead.
I've been listening for a couple of hours now, and I just wondered, is there any practical method of time travel for ordinary people, or is it only some huge government project that can do it?
All right. That is a good question. Al?
Well, in terms of the hardware, I don't think any ordinary people would be able to build it. In terms of the usage, anyone can use the equipment. It's not restrictive in terms of a certain type of person. But the government has a total monopoly on it, other than a few corporations who have been working with the government, and it's definitely not generally available. The only other way around that I can suggest is if you are very heavily into meditation and that type of thing, you can find a way through meditation to time travel, not physically, but mentally or astrally, as they sometimes say, and you can get some of your own answers that way. This is not a physical time travel.
So for the individual, it's a metaphysical answer rather than a hardware.
Particularly it is. You're not going to get the hardware, and you're not going to be able to construct it because it is quite complex.
It's a fascinating answer anyway. Line 2, you're on the air with Al Bielek. Hi.
Hi. Do you have any, scientific proof about any of this?
Any hard proof, Al?
Yes.
Well, I'm sorry, hard proof of what?
Well, hard proof of any aspect of this story.
I have, but the problem is the proof that I have of this is not publishable because the people who can corroborate this story do not wish to be known publicly.
No. You know, if this was a true story, ABC would pick it up in a second. You know, if aliens actually did exist and all of this, this would be the best story that ever hit this would be the...
Well, of course it would, Caller, but if the President of the United States is himself controlled, what makes you think that ABC would be exempt?
Oh, okay.
I mean, in other words, if you buy the story, then you've got to buy the control factor as well, and ABC wouldn't be a...
No, I don't necessarily know if I do. I'm just, I'd like to believe this more than anything. I would.
So would I, because I have been fascinated with and love the idea of time travel. I love it.
Yeah. So, I'm a big fan of Star Trek, and this is just made my date, my dream come true, but I just see no hardcore evidence of it.
All right, what do you say to somebody like that, Al? He sees no hardcore evidence.
Let me...
wants to believe, but doubts.
Let me give the gentleman two insights. Number one, about a year and a half ago, Unsolved Mysteries became interested in the story that I had to tell, and then at a slightly later date, sightings on the West Coast became interested. Both of them dropped it like a hot potato. They refused to touch it beyond the initial inquiry and apparent interest. So far as the major networks are concerned on live television, none of them will touch it, and we know that because we have tried, and the only one who has touched it in terms of television has been the cable networks because they are not governed by the same set of rules.
All right. Let's hold it there. We've got very little time. Line 3, you're on the air with Al Bielek.
Yes, I have a question for Al. He says back in 1943 he traveled to 1983.
That is correct.
Yes.
I don't know. He mentioned that he's traveled in time a couple other times. Has he ever gone beyond 1983, and how much further in the future has he traveled, if he did at all?
All right, thank you. Is it possible to travel into the future, Al?
Yes, that was done at Montauk. All of the people who were new recruits, if you will, were required to take a trip into the future to the year 6037 AD and describe what they saw, and everyone came back with the same description.
Let's hear it.
I'm sorry?
Let's hear it. I want to know what's coming.
Okay, the description at 6037 AD that everyone came back with, because I went on the trip myself, was that you arrived in the middle of a circle, what appeared to be a traffic circle from the city that no longer existed. There was a gold statue there of a horse and some writing on the base that was in gold, the base meaning a pedestal on which the horse was mounted. This traffic circle radiated out in various directions on roads that were still there, but all buildings were obliterated. In the immediate area in the far distance, you could see crumbling buildings. There was no sign of life of any kind, though there was blue skies and white clouds, but there's absolutely devoid of any life at that point.
Oh, boy.
That was what everyone came back with in the same report.
All right. Line 1, you're on the air with Al Bielek.
Hi.
Hello, where are you calling from, sir?
I'm from Las Vegas, and I want to thank you guys for taking my call. It's very interesting and pretty believable. I just wanted to ask a question about Tesla. One caller got cut off. It seems kind of interesting. Is there any more information that we could get about Tesla?
Oh, there's all kinds of information about Tesla if you're interested in his history. Is that what you mean, caller?
More about his study or his notes or anything like that.
All right. Good. Yeah, that is a good question, Al, very quickly.
Right.
What about Tesla's documentation, such as it was?
There's a great deal still available through the museum at back in his Bucharest, I think it's Bucharest, back in his home county, or you might say, because Smiljan in Croatia is no longer extant as a separate country. It is now part of Yugoslavia. But the museum, which was set up after his death, has a great deal of information. There's a great deal here available in the U.S. If you go to the International Tesla Society in Colorado Springs, Colorado, they have perhaps more specific information, documentation about his patents, his work at the Colorado Springs Laboratory in 1899 and 1900. That book is available. Lists of most of his patents are available. And, of course, if you want to research the Institute of Electrical Engineers in New York, he was a regular lecturer from the period of about 1885 onward. And those records all exist because the society was formed in 1884, and they've kept every book and every lecture on file at their headquarters in New York City.
Al, we're coming toward the end of the time. The telephones have never let up. They're still as jammed as they were. So we may at some point hope to have you back again. I'm trying to decide what would be the... How old are you, Al?
Well, according to my birth certificate as Al Bielek, I would be 66. According to my, I still can't locate birth certificate of Edward Cameron, I would be 76, 77, and it's really questionable what my real age is, but if we use the date from 1916, that would say that I'm about 77.
All right, so you're on up there. My question is this. When you are gone, who will tell this story as you have told it, or will the story die with you?
No, it will not die with me. There will be another book in preparation. I've already made many videotapes across the nation from lectures, from other appearances, and the information will be well documented. Eventually, the government classification on this project will end on the Philadelphia experiment.
Do you know when that is?
Well, theoretically, it has to end in August of this year because it's 50 years. The question is whether or not they can force its continuance as a classified project, because now it is up to...
Are there any aspects of it that are available through the Freedom of Information Act, Al?
Well, you can get some information through Freedom of Information, but the problem there is that if they release a report, if they don't cite in the interest of national security, we can't release it. It may be blacked out so there's hardly anything left except the title page and the end page and index, perhaps.
Well, then hopefully you'll be with us for a while. Al, we've got to take off. You've got to get to bed. I thank you for being with us, and please plan on doing it again, will you?
Listen, Do you remember a time when you could buy a new car for $2,000, a new 3-bedroom home for $10,000 or less, or maybe a 10-cent cup of coffee? A time when the average middle-income family had only one wage earner. That allowed the wife to devote full-time care for the family. They could still own their own home, buy a new car every couple of years, take a nice vacation every summer, put a couple of kids through college, and look forward to carefree retirement. That year was 1966, only 30 years ago. What happened? Well, to have the same standard of living today, you'd have to net, after taxes, about 10 times the income of that year. Very few of us have been able to keep pace. What's happened to our beloved American dollar, the American dream? For the answers to these questions and more, I want you to call my friends at North American Trading and ask for their free newsletter on the decline of the dollar. That number is 1-800-877-9799. It's completely free. The number, 1-800-877-9799.
Stay tuned for more of the best of Art Bell.
My dad taught me the difference between collecting coins and saving money. I thought he'd been collecting U.S. savings bonds, but he was really helping to ensure our future. He told me that savings bonds are a guaranteed safe way to save money, that they're there when you need them, and that they earn interest for up to 30 years. That's ensuring the future. So I started my own collection of U.S. savings bonds, just like Dad's.
Ask your banker or employer about U.S. savings bonds for all the right reasons. Alan and Dave talk to Ethel on Auto Talk.
When those young kids come up next to me at the stoplight, it really irritates me. They're revving their engines, you know, so I took my Maverick down to the shop and I put a blown 429 in it with a positive rear-ended traction bar. Well, that also can't do me any good because I'm only getting about 5,000 RPMs. It's when they sit there and blow those engines up, you know, when they try and catch up with me, and that's what really makes me laugh.
Auto Talk, Saturday morning.
Say, do you have fields, overgrown pastures, even scrubby wooded areas you'd like to keep clear? Well, listen to what Clem Grabner of Fairfax, Virginia has to say about his amazing walk-behind DR field and brush mower.
We have 18 acres on the Shenandoah. We camp there. We used to have this one portion brush hogged, and then it got so expensive that with your mower, I think it paid for itself the first year. If you're going a couple weeks, places up to your knees again. So it's been a real pleasure to have it. Most of it you can't cut with a regular mower. This mower that we have is just the thing we needed. It's very reliable. I mean, it's got a good motor on it.
You can get a big color catalog direct from our factory all about the DR Field and Brush Mower. Just call toll-free 1-800-FIELD-13. That's 1-800-FIELD-13 for your free color catalog all about the amazing DR Field and Brush Mower.
USA Radio Network News, this is Ron Jenkins. Astronauts Mark Lee and Stephen Smith have wrapped up spacewalk number 5, the final one for the Shuttle Discovery crew. They're now back inside the shuttle. At the conclusion of the latest spacewalk, capsule communicator Jeff Hoffman offered his gratitude to the crew for a job well done.
Discovery Houston, for the EVA crew, we see you're holding at 5 PSI. I'm getting ready to turn back over to Mark for the rest of the Orbit 1 shift, and I just wanted to tell you how much I've enjoyed talking with you guys during the EVA and how much everyone down here appreciates the TLC that all of you have given the Hubble telescope.
American Airlines started it all with a fare-cutting program to win back some of the people scared off by a threatened pilot strike last week. Now 4 more major airlines have joined in the discounting. Travel agent Christian Sturm in Spokane, Washington, says American is cutting its fares by as much as 50%, but he says there could be some smoke and mirrors involved.
You take it off their full excursion fare. They don't discount it off usually their lowest fare that was already out before the sale. So it's a little bit of a trick, but it still ends up being really good savings for the consumer.
Some fares to London and Paris are under $500 for the round trip. China remains silent on the fragile health of Paramount leader Deng Xiaoping. Communist leaders and others have cut short out-of-town trips to visit the ailing patriarch. This is USA Radio News.
If you're looking for the most amount of term life insurance for the least amount of money, then you want Legacy Group, where tens of thousands of clients have relied on their expertise. Give them a call at 1-800-245-TERM. For more than 40 years, Legacy has given their clients the service and confidence they need. They continually compare the lowest rates from 20 of the top-rated life insurance companies, so you know you're getting the best rates. For example, a 35-year-old non-smoking person can get $35,000 in term life insurance for only $35 per month. That's about $1 a day for $250,000 of guaranteed level term life insurance. That low rate is guaranteed not to change for 20 years. No matter what age you are, Legacy will give you the lowest possible rate for term life insurance. If you would like a free quote, call the Legacy Group now at 1-800-245-TERM and see how much you can save. That's 1-800-245-TERM.
Special Whitewater prosecutor Kenneth Starr is leaving that job. He'll move to California, where he'll become dean of Pepperdine University in August. Starr says this doesn't mean the Whitewater investigation's over. He says it simply means somebody else is going to take charge. As for Starr, well, he's going to be a very busy man, according to Pepperdine's provost.
Our assumption is that when he comes and takes up this responsibility, he will have a full-time responsibility. And that will take place certainly as school begins sometime this next fall, probably beginning sometime in August.
Peruvian President Alberto Fujimori says he's optimistic over the chances for a bloodless end to the 2-month Lima hostage crisis. That's in spite of the apparent lack of progress in renewed talks with Marxist rebels. 3 rounds of face-to-face talks between rebels and the government negotiator raised hopes of a breakthrough, but so far, no sign that the sides are moving any closer to resolving the hostage issue. This is USA Radio News.
Does your home need a new roof this season? If your roof needs replacing fast, then call Sears Roofing now. A Sears authorized expert will examine your roof and give you a free estimate. Sears Roofing is sold furnished and installed by Diamond Exteriors, a Sears authorized contractor, so you know you'll get expert installation guaranteed. Not available in all areas. Sears Roofing is ready to help you, so call now. 1-800-452-6200. That's 800-452-6200.
Right on her first international tour as Secretary of State in Paris, France, and apparently talking tough to the French. USA's Connie Lawn has more.
U.S. officials say Secretary of State Madeleine Albright is charming her hosts in Germany and France, but has not resolved key differences with the French. In fact, despite kisses from the French foreign minister, the tough-talking Secretary of State has not yielded to his demands on a variety of topics. U.S. officials say they have not agreed to France's call to hand over NATO's southern command to France. The U.S. does appear to agree to a French proposal for a 5-nation summit to overcome Russian hostility on NATO. Connie Lawn, USA Radio News, Washington.
Latest reports from Seoul indicate tensions are mounting on the Korean peninsula, despite indications from North Korea that it may accept the defection of one of its high officials in Beijing. Ron Jenkins on the USA Radio Network.
To Roseanne Bazinet, and I'm going to share with you an important bit of information that could help you turn your life around, help you recapture the pleasure you used to enjoy in your life. Like most of us, from time to time, you've suffered feelings of stress, anxiety, and the blues. You wished you had someone to talk to, someone who's been there, someone you could talk with about anything. Simply call the number I'm going to give you and talk over your problem in confidence with a licensed therapist. Any hour of the day or night, 7 days a week, right now if you want to. The cost just $3.95 a minute, charged to your credit card. Reach out to us when you need us. Interact Group Counselors, here for you now, live, by phone. Call 1-800-414-2846 for your private counselor. 1-800-414-2846. That's 1-800-414-2846.
You're listening to Art's 1993 interview with Al Bielek on this, the absolute best of Coast to Coast AM with Art Bell.
My guest is indeed from Islip, East Islip, New York, Preston Nichols. And in effect, he's going to pick up where Al Bielek left off. And many of you, I know many of you, are very familiar with the story of the Philadelphia experiment and Al Bielek. Don't know a lot about Preston Nichols and the Montauk Project, but as you know, Al Bielek referred to it as part of the Philadelphia experiment, so it's been a great curiosity for me and for many of you. And we are honored, therefore, to have Preston Nichols with us this evening. Let's go all the way to East Islip, New York, and Preston Nichols. Preston, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Well, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Pleasure is mine. They're doing it. Exactly what they're doing, we don't know. We're still researching that.
All right, Preston, hang in there. You've got a bit of a rest here at the top of the hour, and we'll be back to you.
Okay.
Preston Nichols is my guest. The Montauk Project, kind of a follow-up on the Philadelphia experiment, is the topic.
The Bajan Free Play Radio. AM, FM, and shortwave. It is the #1 emergency radio in the world. It is the #1, as a matter of fact, it's really #1 in its category, period. It is a portable AM, FM, shortwave, 8 bands of shortwave. It doesn't use batteries, nor does it plug into the wall, because it does not need to. It has something internally called the Bielek clockwork generator. It uses human power. You crank it for 1 minute, and you get 35 to 40 minutes play. By the way, it's got great audio. It is 14 inches wide, 10 inches high, 6 inches deep, weighs 7 pounds, comes from South Africa, and soon is going to be in short or zero supply. So don't wait. Now, the price at present is $119.95 brand new until they're gone. However, for the first time, they've got a few returned Bajans just waiting for a new home. Same warranty, cleaned, tested as new, $99.95, including shipping and handling. Wow. Quite a deal, folks. So, to take advantage, pick up the telephone in the morning at 7:30. 1-800-522-8863. How many times have you bought a great book but never got around to reading it? It's a big waste of money, right? And it's because you don't have the time. A lot of us don't. Well, now you can enjoy all the wonderful stuff you've been missing. The Columbia House Audio Book Club is the way. With audiobooks, you can listen to your favorite authors while you're driving, working around the house, whatever. To introduce you to the club, what a deal we've got. Columbia House will give you 4 of today's best-selling books on cassette for a penny. 1 shiny copper penny, plus shipping and handling. And if you order by credit card, you'll get a 5th audiobook free. Bestsellers like Deepak Chopra's Path to Love, John Gray's Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. We'll talk about that one night. Do you like novels? How about Michael Crichton's thriller, Airframe? Have you seen that yet? Or visit the hilarious world of office politics in the Dilbert Principle. To receive 4 audiobooks for a penny, call 1-800-325-6921. Pay now by credit card and get a 5th audiobook free. In return for your introductory audiobooks, just buy 4 more in the next 2 years at regular club prices. Call now, 1-800-325-6921. That's 1-800-325-6921.
If you've missed any part of tonight's interviews with Al Bielek or Preston Nichols and you'd like to have a copy on tape, dial toll-free 1-800-917-4278 and ask for tape number 970217C. The cost is $33.50 for all 5 hours without the commercials. That toll-free number is 1-800-917-4278.
You've got tax questions. Who doesn't? The important thing is, where do you go for answers? Well, try calling the Internal Revenue Service. Teletax is your 24-hour toll-free helpline. You'll have access to recorded information on about 150 tax topics, from deductions to dependents to business expenses. Just call 1-800-829-4477. That's 1-800-829-4477 for Teletax. At the IRS, we want to help. In fact, that's why we're here.
In the next 60 seconds, I'm going to do something terrible to anyone who's ever wanted to play the piano. I'm going to take away your excuses. I'm George Mladen, and right now you can learn to play the piano using the See and Hear Piano series. The same simple learn-at-home method that's already taught thousands of people to play, with a full 60-day money-back guarantee. How can we make such an offer? Simple. The See and Hear Piano series works. Using a simple step-by-step approach covering chord construction, voicing, chord progressions, runs, and the circle of fifths, our audio and video tapes will teach you how to play your favorite songs and improvise like a pro. Call this number right now and try the See and Hear Piano series risk-free.
Stop making excuses and start making music. Call 1-800-905-PIANO. That's 1-800-905-PIANO. Try See and Hear with a 60-day money-back guarantee.
Things were really cooking at the Safety Belt Stakeout. When we pinched them.
Ouch! Betty gives us a ticket.
That's right, and don't call me Betty.
But we never wear safety belts. See, we're dummies.
Then here's something even you can understand.
For a good time, call...
No, this.
A ticket?
Police are now ticketing low-life scum who don't wear safety belts, so buckle up.
Surely you can give us a break.
No, and don't call me Shirley.
A message from the Department of Transportation and the Ad Council.
USA Radio Network News, this is Ron Jenkins. The crew of the Space Shuttle Discovery finished its last spacewalk of the mission, and during that walk, the crew made more repairs on the Hubble Space Telescope. Steve Nesbitt of NASA says everything is going very well. The mission so far is a success. Jeff Hoffman, capsule communicator, thanked the crew. Astronaut Stephen Smith thanked Houston in return.
Well, Jeff, as an IV, I want to tell you it's been a pleasure working with you, and we've got a whole lot of confidence in the team down there, and you've been an excellent spokesman as well as Mark, and it's been a real joy to work with all of you. Thank you very much.
Tonight, the crew makes final electronics tests of the Hubble, then turns the telescope loose in orbit and moves away to prepare for the trip home. Kenneth Starr, independent counsel investigating the Whitewater case and any involvement by the Clintons, is leaving that job to take on the dean's position at Pepperdine University in California. He was asked if that meant there were no indictments pending against the First family.
I can't comment at all on the investigation. As you know, we do our talking in court. I just think it would be wrong. It would be wrong to be making predictive judgments based upon what one individual may do.
Starr starts his Pepperdine job August 1st. And U.S. Secretary of State Madeleine Albright attends her first NATO foreign ministers meeting today in Paris. This is USA Radio News.
Barcellini and Wilkins, 5 reasons you should be investing in gold today. Reason number 2, foreign loans. It's common knowledge and has been published that 1, foreign investment has subsidized U.S. interest rates. 2, this has caused the U.S. dollar to remain at unrealistic high rates of exchange. And 3, foreign investment has, for all intents and purposes, single-handedly created the largest stock market speculation in history. The amount of U.S. currency held by foreign governments is astronomical, which means these foreign governments can exert pressure on the U.S. and even impact our national policy. The fact is that your paper investments are linked to variables you have no control over. They rise and they fall at the whim of phenomenon, sometimes as nebulous as fear. There are 2 sayings. In the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king, and he who holds the gold is in charge. Get the facts about gold ownership. These facts will be mailed to you free of charge by calling Barcellini and Wilkins, the private gold company in Venice. Call 800-497-6531.
The investigation into alleged influence peddling in the 1996 presidential election has brought with it 20 new subpoenas, and word from the chief investigator that there could be even more. Dan Burton, Indiana Republican and chairman of the House Committee on Government Reform and Oversight, is working with Senator Fred Thompson's Governmental Affairs Committee. They're looking at possible foreign influence in the U.S. election process. Jeff Birnbaum is the Washington bureau chief of Fortune magazine, and he says Burton's job is a sizable one.
Dan Burton, the chairman of the committee in the House that's looking into this, wishes he didn't have such an extensive investigation, but so much has been happening and so much has been flowing perhaps improperly into Democratic coffers that he's expanded his investigation, and looks like he'll have a lot of work to do.
The White House has denied campaign contributions to Democrats influence the president on foreign policy decisions. This is USA Radio News.
Whoever said a dollar doesn't go very far these days has never heard of Neymar. You can get your customized one-color logo imprinted on 24 top-quality T-shirts for only $5 per shirt. Only $5 per shirt for 50/50 cotton polyester T-shirts. It's perfect for business promotions, sports teams, school clubs, family reunions, and fundraisers. For a free catalog, call now, 1-800-634-6271. Save even more with volume discounts. Call 1-800-634-6271.
Row upon row of parking meters are standing headless in Washington, D.C. Connie Lawn explains.
Citizens in Washington, D.C. have had enough. They are decapitating parking meters. Many of the expensive meters are headless. Vandals have destroyed them so drivers are able to park for free. It's part of a citizens' revolt. In a bankrupt city where nearly nothing works, the parking meter police are the most efficient force. Citizens are unprotected and violent crimes go unprosecuted. But if a driver is a few minutes late, a ticket is issued. Connie Lawn, USA Radio News, Washington.
A supplier strike that could have crippled General Motors truck and sports utility production has been averted. A last-minute deal was reached before Monday morning's 7 a.m. strike deadline. That tentative agreement covers 7,200 United Auto Workers Union employees at 5 American axle and manufacturing plants. Ron Jenkins on the USA Radio Network.
How smart you are, you can never know everything about tax laws. Unless you're the Internal Revenue Service. We have to know. It's our job. So next time you have a tax question, go right to the top. Ask the IRS. Free. Just call Teletax. It's a 24-hour toll-free helpline with recorded information on about 150 tax topics. They're listed right in your tax booklet. Maybe you have questions about deductions or how many dependents to claim. With Teletax, you can go right to the topics you want and find the answers you need. Whether you're a small business or an individual, Teletax can help. Look in your tax booklet for a local number or call 1-800-829-4477 from a touch-tone phone. That's 1-800-829-4477 for Teletax. At the IRS, we want to help. In fact, that's why we're here.
Art Bell is resting, recovering from the cold he caught flying home from Mexico. Chancellor Broadcasting Company presents Vintage Art Bell and his classic 2-hour interview with Preston Nichols on the Montauk Experiment. It's a dandy and one of Art's all-time favorite shows. And now, hour number 2 of the 2-hour interview with Preston Nichols on the Montauk Experiment.
Hey, listen, if you want the best radio made today, and when trouble does start, you're going to definitely want shortwave, believe me. You want the ATS 909, brand new from Sanjin. The ATS 909. It's $289.95, and it's worth every single penny. Whether your enjoyment stems from AM, you know, listening to talk shows, that kind of thing, FM, or shortwave, this radio has it all. Believe me. It operates on 4 AA batteries. It has incredible sensitivity and selectivity without going into overload. It has 40 hertz resolution in single sideband. It has RDS reception on FM, for those of you who know what that is. It puts it puts the call letters automatically of the radio station running RDS or their little slogan up in the window. It's amazing. Absolutely amazing. It has audio that can only be described as absolutely exquisite. Exquisite audio. In every way possible, this is the radio, if you can afford it, that you want. It has been given a 5-star rating by World Radio TV Handbook and deserves it. As a matter of fact, named the best shortwave portable for 1997. It is clearly that. And if you order now, you get the 500-page 1997 Passport to World Band radio free. Normally $20. So $289.95 and worth every penny. The number to call in the morning at the C. Crane Company is 1-800-522-8863. 1-800-522-8863. The C. Crane Company. Are you overweight? Would you like to lose an average 8 to 10 pounds in the next month? We know that fiber helps sweep fat out of the digestive tract like a broom, reducing the amount of fat your body stores as excess weight. Well, let me tell you about a revolutionary fiber, Chitosan. It's a natural fiber that comes from shellfish. It not only sweeps fat, but also absorbs up to 10 times more fat than other fibers. You can get this fiber in a formula called Chito Slim. Chito Slim is effective because you can lose weight without changing your eating habits. And there are no stimulants. It's a gentle, effective way to lose excess weight. Here's the special offer. When you order a 90-day supply of Chito Slim, you'll get an antioxidant moisturizing cream absolutely free. Call 1-800-557-4627. It's guaranteed to work or your money back, and it's not available in stores. So call 1-800-557-4627. That's 1-800-557-4627. You've got nothing to lose but the fat. Do you have hard water? If so, I've got the answer. You know, that white stuff on cars when you wash them. Even 52 Chevys. On dishware when it is washed. On everything the water touches, including your shower heads, inside the pipes where you can't see it, bringing eventually a smiling plumber to your home. Well, GMX will take care of all that for you. I guarantee it. So do they. As a matter of fact, when you buy it, if in 90 days you are not convinced, you get all your money back, no questions asked. The number is 1-800-4060-GMX. And guess what? The GMX special offer is still open for a while longer. You buy GMX magnets now, and they send you free one of the most remarkable inventions I've ever seen. This revolutionary product, a $75 value, cleans your clothes without detergent. That's right. More 21st century technology. We use it. It works. Call 1-800-4060-GMX. That's 1-800-4060-GMX to get that which you cannot otherwise get. In other words, we have so many good photographs and articles like this medical study on the internet, on the web page, that we know all of you don't have computers by a long shot. So we publish all of this in a newsletter as well. In addition to things you cannot get on the website, in-depth interviews with some guests that we have on the air, well, with facts and information that go well beyond what we have on the air. It's called the Art Bell After Dark newsletter. So, to get a copy of the show, to get the Art Bell After Dark newsletter, call 24 hours a day, 1-800-917-4278. Are you writing down that number? 1-800-917-4278. Back to Preston Nichols and the Montauk Project. Preston, are you there?
Yep.
All right. On the first-time caller line, you're on the air with Preston Nichols. Hello.
Yes, I have two questions. One of them, I was interested in, Al Bielek talked about age regression, and I was interested if Preston Nichols knew exactly how to pull this off.
All right. Where are you, sir?
St. Louis, Missouri. And I have one more question.
All right.
Quick question. I have a book called Mind Machines You Can Build by G. Harry Stein. And in the book, it's a little diagram on an instrument he called a wishing machine.
A what machine?
A wishing machine.
Wishing?
Yes, it uses with the device. He says that it was, I guess, originally built back in the 40s, and he says it uses a audio amplifier, a couple of copper plates, an antenna, a 6-volt battery, and a couple other little simple things like that. And he said that you would use a pitcher, and you would put it in between the 2 copper plates.
This sounds like a radionics device.
Maybe so. Like I say, the name of the book is Mind Machines You Can Build.
Right.
But with this device, they said at long distances they could, like a 20-acre cornfield that was infested with bugs or whatever, that they would have a 90% kill rate just by consciously focusing on the pitcher.
Yeah, this is typical radionics. Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
All right. To answer the man's first question.
Age regression.
Age, not age. Age. A-G-E.
Right.
Probably talking of.
Right.
I'm not going to say this is impossible because we have theories today which are stating that there's an energy lattice, a energetic replication of the DNA of the human being, which is magnetically coupled into the genome, into the DNA, and that there are many levels of DNA, and aging is essentially the loss of control of the differentiation of the DNA from the quantum electromagnetic pattern that we're calling a lattice. If you can somehow restore this control, theoretically you could grow back to whatever portion of the DNA you would activate. Now, Al speaks of being age regressed back to a 1-year-old baby. I don't know whether or not the DNA is still there for that. If it is, I don't think it's impossible to do. Now, also, I run into one other person that the only thing that explains what's happened to him, and he's being truthful, I feel, is some sort of age regression. Now, I have not heard reports from other sources on this. See, when I hear a report like this, I consider where it's coming from, and I like to get maybe 5 or 6 reports saying, yes, age regression has happened. I haven't had it. I've only had Al Bielek himself, one other source which I don't consider at all credible, and now the one we run into very recently. So again, I'm not going to say it's impossible, but also I think it's a quite fantastic story that I wish was true. I'd like to have it myself.
Yeah, you betcha. Look, if it is possible to travel in time,
and I don't know how to do age regression.
Right, I was going to ask you, Preston, if it's possible to travel in time, and I went back to, say, 1950, my chronological age at the end of the travel would still be what it is at just roughly the moment I left, wouldn't it?
Yes, exactly. This is why I think if you're going to do age regression, you got to do something through the DNA.
Through the DNA.
You got to somehow change the differentiation to go back to the genome that you were replicating when you were like 20 years old, let's say.
Well, that would be
the body would grow young.
That would be a very delicate genetic manipulation indeed, wouldn't it?
It may be electromagnetic.
Electromagnetic.
Because it's being suggested by a lot of learned geneticists that Dr. Glenn Ryan is showing a lot of research that subtle or quantum electromagnetic waves do affect the way the double helix is wrapped up in spiral.
All right, Preston, hold it right there. We'll be back after the bottom of the hour break.
10-4.
Preston Nichols is my guest.
Stay tuned for more of the Best of Art Bell right after a word from your local sponsors.
This
the CBC Radio Network.
Now, I'm well on the way to paying the college tuition for my 5 daughters.
What you do with your money is your business. How you can make more of it is ours. Individual Investor magazine is focused on one thing: results. Each month, Individual Investor seeks out undiscovered companies on the way up and distills that valuable information into simple, detailed profiles that you can act on.
They helped me earn the money to start my own company.
Individual Investor highlights growth stocks on the verge of exploding and the hottest mutual funds.
I went with one of their picks, and it doubled in 1 year.
For the 4th year in a row, Individual Investor's Magic 25 stock picks beat the experts and the indexes. And so did our readers. For $22.95, get 1 year of Individual Investor magazine, the Magic 25 issue, and monthly updates.
To get Individual Investor, call 1-800-917-8400.
What do I do with the money I make reading Individual Investor? Invest it and make more.
When it happens, who will speak for you? Who will decide what happens to your minor children, your property and personal effects, and you? Without a current legal will, the courts will make those decisions. But with a National Will Kit, you will make those decisions before it happens. The National Will Kit is lawyer approved and legal in all 50 states. It can also help you avoid painful and costly estate litigation. You will have a completed sample will for guidance, information on how to choose an executor and witnesses, even where to keep your will and who should know about it. You can probably do the whole thing in about an hour. Order your National Will Kit today, and we'll include a free living will guide that assures your wishes will be followed in case of an irreversible injury or illness. Have a charge card handy and call 1-800-224-1112 to order your National Will Kit. Only $19.95 plus shipping for the Will Kit and Living Will Guide if you order today. Satisfaction's guaranteed. Call 1-800-224-1112. That's 1-800-224-1112.
When the Soviets beat the U.S. basketball team in the '72 Olympics, America was outraged. When America's superstar speed skater lost in '92, we were shocked. But when our kids scored 14th in an international mathematics competition, we didn't even notice. America's schools haven't kept pace with the rest of the world. We haven't raised our standards as fast or as far as other countries. As a result, we're losing our ability to compete economically. But it's not too late to turn things around. In some places, it's already beginning to happen. To find out how together we can bring about the kind of improvement we desperately need, call 1-800-96-PROMISE. We'll send you a free booklet outlining how we can keep the promise of a real education for all of America's children and put ourselves back in the lead. A message from the Education Excellence Partnership and the Ad Council.
Say, do you have fields, overgrown pastures, even scrubby wooded areas you'd like to keep clear? Well, listen to what Clem Grabner of Fairfax, Virginia has to say about his amazing walk-behind DR field and brush mower.
We have 18 acres on the Shenandoah. We camp there. We used to have this one portion brush hogged, and then it got so expensive that at your mower, I think it paid for itself the first year. If you're going a couple of weeks, places up to your knees again. So it's been a real pleasure to have it. Most of it you can't cut with a regular mower. This mower that we have is just the thing we needed. It's very reliable. I mean, it's got a good motor on it.
You can get a big color catalog direct from our factory all about the DR Field and Brush Mower. Just call toll-free 1-800-FIELD-13. That's 1-800-FIELD-13 for your free color catalog all about the amazing DR Field and Brush Mower.
Well, I volunteer at the school, you know, and I'd see her sometimes with a rough crowd, but she didn't seem to fit in.
Most people are afraid of me. They don't even talk to me.
It's not right, a kid like that, hanging around with nothing to do.
She just walked right up to me and said, "I like your work." Nobody's ever said that to me before.
I want to see you paint something, I told her. And that's all it took.
She got me to do it. I like it, because painting makes me look at things different.
Always kids, helping you make a difference.
CBC, Chancellor Broadcasting Company. For the strange and unusual, it's Dreamland with Art Bell.
What do we discuss on Dreamland? Two fascinating areas. Is there life after death, and are we alone in the universe? Two ultimate questions mankind's been trying to answer for thousands of years. We'll be talking about it this week, right here on Dreamland.
Bell is resting, recovering from the cold he caught flying home from Mexico. Chancellor Broadcasting Company presents Vintage Art Bell and his classic 2-hour interview with Preston Nichols on the Montauk Experiment. It's a dandy and one of Art's all-time favorite shows. And now, hour number 2 of the 2-hour interview with Preston Nichols on the Montauk Experiment.
On the wild card line, you're on the air with Preston Nichols. Hello.
Hello, how's it going tonight?
Okay, sir, where are you?
I am in Kansas City, Missouri, Art.
Okay.
Love your show.
Thank you.
Geez, just listening and really don't have too much to say other than enjoying your show. Keep up what you're doing.
Oh, sir, thank you very much for the call. On the first-time caller line, you're on the air with Preston Nichols. Hello.
Yes, hi, Art.
Hello, sir.
Yes, I'm from Long Island originally, and I just recently moved about a year and a half ago.
Where are you now?
I'm in Youngstown, Ohio.
Okay.
And yeah, I'm 28 years old, and I'm intelligent. I know for a fact that I've got a 138 IQ, borderline genius. Yet at the same time, I've always wondered why I was never in tune with what was going on politically. I never could quite understand the political process.
You're not the only one.
Yeah. You know, I'm from Suffolk County. I'm from Huntington.
Mm-hmm.
And I moved in, it was July of 91, of 91 rather. July of 91, I moved from Suffolk County. I moved into Elmont in Nassau.
Mm-hmm.
That was where I had...
we call Suffering County and Northshire County.
Yeah. That was where I first started listening to political commentary on talk radio.
Mm-hmm.
After that, I moved to New Orleans, and I really started to get involved. I started to know what was going on.
So what's the question?
Yeah, what is the question? How does this relate to my guest, sir?
Well, what I'm saying is, well, you're talking about mind control.
Mm-hmm.
As fantastic as it sounds, it's starting to make a little bit of sense to me. I don't know.
This is what a lot of people say.
I mean, I was completely blind.
Considering what's happening, there's a lot going on.
Uh-huh.
Okay, we'll fix it. Art was talking about the people just all of a sudden shooting.
It confounds me how I was so blind until I moved out of Suffolk County, until I moved off of Long Island, really. Now I'm just
here you're sitting right in the midst of this emanation.
Exactly. It just sounds so fantastic in Art. I can tell by your voice, by the entire conversation you've been having. It just sounds so fantastic. But it makes sense. I don't know.
Well, all right, thank you.
It's based in real science, sir.
Yeah, I have learned long ago not to stick up my nose at what appears to be fantastic because I've been surprised too many times. And I'm sure of this, Preston, that, well, it also raises an awful lot of questions.
Yes, it does.
Well, for example, Preston, not just the shootings, the mindless head-shaker shootings that are going on, but society's behavior in general is very strange indeed, and is deteriorating, in my view, and the view of most others who stand back and view it. Things are out of control. People, the state of civilization is less. People's tempers are short, and when it's the worst case, they're picking up guns and shooting each other.
Well, how would you react if you had a hammer pounding on your head continuously?
You'd eventually get irritated and do something awful.
Right. You got to think of all this stuff that they're sending out into the ethers, purposefully or accidentally, is like someone tapping on your head with a hammer. Neurological system operates on a pseudo-random ordered pulse function. You read any book on brain activity, that's the first thing they say. If you take these neurological signal out of a nerve, put it into an audio amplifier, it sounds like static.
This is CBC.
This is CBC.
If you've missed any part of tonight's interviews with Al Bielek or Preston Nichols and you'd like to have a copy on tape, dial toll-free 1-800-917-4278 and ask for tape number 970217C. The cost is $33.50 for all 5 hours without the commercials. That toll-free number is 1-800-917-4278.